Finally found a good visual representation of the current specs required for Warframe. They are Windows XP Service Pack 3 or higher, an Intel Core 2 Duo or an AMD Athlon X64, 2GB of RAM, the nvidia GeForce 8600 or ATI's Radeon HD 3600. It requires DirectX 9.0C and 26GB of hard drive as well as an internet connection, though it only works online. It doesn't have an offline mode to it, though I wish it did sometimes, because that would be great. Now this is all becoming a thing because Microsoft and Intel are ceasing support of older things. This is understandable because obviously Windows XP has not been supported for a few years now, so finally stopping support for Windows XP just means that the stability of the game will run a little bit better. It is bad because I know a lot of people who play on old 32-bit Windows XP machines. I can't put my hand up and say I've played this a few times on Windows Vista, but that's a 64-bit machine. But they have phased that operating system out a long time ago. Warframe supporting it for as long as they did was one of the reasons that I did like playing the game, because it worked on pretty much anything you threw it at. But obviously times are changing, and with Microsoft and Intel trying to cease support of older hardware so they can pull the Apple maneuver of, well, you have to buy new stuff because we tell you to, is kind of forcing the hand of a lot of people to phase out support of DX9 32-bit operating systems, and as it's put in here, 2001 tech. And I do keep saying it's Microsoft and Intel for this, but it does actually say here it's nvidia, because it's the old nvidia graphics cards that are stopping the support for games like this. They don't really work on DirectX 11, and that is what the game is now heavily into, with all of the particle effects and everything else, which is all explained in here. It is a huge shame because people on older systems are going to, I don't want to say upgrade, but I know people who have a decent machine in the house, kind of like I do, but then when they are out and about they still play it on older laptops, because why upgrade your laptop if the game works on it? Kind of like I do, because I have an old laptop that I've put this on that it doesn't run on DirectX 10 or 11. I have to run it on 9. It is a Windows 7 operating system, but it's a 32-bit operating system. The minimum specs are going to be Windows 7, 64-bit operating systems, and DX10. So my laptop will no longer run this. It still will, but not as good as it does now, and I've tried running it on 10 and it does run really horribly and really jumpy, and that's a Windows 7 based laptop. It's just with it being a 32-bit operating system, it just doesn't like it very well. This is something that was expected. It is something that I was really hoping they wouldn't do for years to come, because I do know people who still play this on Windows XP on old machines. They're not going to be very happy about this. But it's not Digital Extreme's fault that this is happening. As I tried to explain through this, it's Microsoft and Intel, or nvidia, because it's Intel graphics cards which are nvidia graphics cards. Because like AMD and ATI became one company, it's now just AMD. They kind of absorbed ATI. Intel and nvidia are kind of the same. I really don't want to say the same company because they're not, but they go well together. So I'm blaming Intel for this one because, now let's be honest, do you really think they make any kind of Windows products on an AMD based system, or do you think they use Intel? Because Microsoft have always favoured Intel and pretty much always have. So it's just because times are changing. Operating systems have obviously changed since 2001. I mean, Windows XP is a really old operating system. The Digital Extreme did support it for pretty much as long as they could, but the direction they're trying to take is just literally, it's right there. limit Warframe's development. They have to make this change, otherwise it'll just graphically it'll stall out, and the new particle system does look absolutely amazing. So on one hand, you can understand people aren't going to be very happy about this, but on the other, it's been expected for a long time. They held off for this as long as they could, but with the lack of support for DirectX 9 and Windows XP, they really couldn't do any more with this. It had to happen eventually. At least it doesn't say the minimum specs or Windows Vista. That would have been an unforgivable thing. Anyway, we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.